Welcome back. We now turn our attention to Madagascar, a nation currently gripped by political turmoil and widespread protests that began just over 2 weeks ago. What started as a public outcry over power and water cuts on 25th September has rapidly evolved into a youth-led national uprising, one that's been called the Gen Z revolution. Young people across the country look to the streets, demanding better living conditions, accountability, and an end to corruption. But as tensions mounted, an elite military unit known as CAPSAT refused to fire on protesters, signaling a dramatic split within the security forces. Soon after, President Andry Rajoelina, who also happens to hold the rotating SADC chairmanship, reportedly fled the country for his safety. In his absence, he announced the dissolution of the National Assembly, a move the opposition has condemned as unconstitutional. Dozens have already lost their lives in clashes, and the United Nations has called the government's response shocking. Meanwhile, SADC has urged calm and dialogue, but with Madagascar holding the bloc's current presidency, its response is under close regional scrutiny. So tonight we ask what led to this crisis, what's really driving the anger of Madagascar's youth, and what does it mean for the region and SADC's credibility? Joining us to unpack this is Dr. Marius Kudumo, a political analyst who's been following developments within the region. Doctor, good evening and welcome.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Good evening.
Well, Doctor, let's start at the root of this crisis. From your observation, what triggered these protests in Madagascar, and why did they resonate so strongly with the country's youth?
I think what we are observing and what we are reading, the issue of water and electricity are symptoms of a bigger problem. I think the bigger problem relates to governance, especially the distribution of resources, as well as the disconnect between the governing elite and the ordinary people. It resonates well with the young people because when they reach a state of hopelessness, then there's nothing for them to live, and they can take any action. Therefore, at the root of what we are observing and seeing is basically governance and the welfare of the people that seems not to be taken care of.
Yeah. Well, the Malagasy people clearly are very, very frustrated, but I want to know how, would you compare these youth-led movements to others that we've seen across Africa recently?
Yeah, it's not only recently. Many of the revolution, many of the changes that we have seen in Africa are started by the youth. If you look into South Africa, 1976 is the youth. The fist must fall, and the implication of that, you have seen it in Kenya and in other places, because they are not part of the liberation struggle. Their future is informed by their material conditions. And if they reach a stage of there's no future for them, then obviously they will take the action that we are seeing. And also there is a problem of intergenerational gap in terms of the elderly understanding their needs and how to respond to those needs. So basically, we are likely to see more of what we are seeing unless the issues of governance, the issues of improving the material conditions of people so that there's a decent standard of living is actually getting the necessary attention.
Well, the involvement of the CAPSAT military unit, which refused orders to suppress the protesters, marked a major turning point in the events. How significant, Dr. Kudumo, is this military split for the stability of Madagascar going forward?
It is unusual that the military refuses instructions or orders. Unusual, but it's also usual. Because there are explanations why the military get involved in political matters. So anyone who studied governance, especially civil-military relations, will understand that. Their explanation. Firstly, there is what we call the winter of discontent. When the dissatisfaction among the people is very high, obviously the military can come in and claim that they are coming in to restore order. Like in this case, they might come in and say, if we come in, then we will improve the welfare of the people. That's the first reason why the military get involved in political affairs. Secondly, is what we call also that there's also opportunism in the military, especially from your top generals. Sometimes when the civil political leaders fail, they think they can come in and take over government and manage the affairs of the state. My professor used to say the problem is they will not leave after testing power. Because
of course.
They come in to restore order and then after that leave. But basically it's mostly the winter of discontent, the high unhappiness, dissatisfaction amongst the population makes the military to come in. So to answer your question, it's unusual, but when you see that the military is getting involved in civil matters, in political matters, then you see we are reaching almost a crisis because they are not supposed to get involved.
Well, earlier this morning, news on this matter was that President Andry has fled Madagascar, citing fears around, his safety, saying that he has received threats, made towards his life, and in absentia then tries to dissolve the National Assembly. Constitutionally as well as politically, Dr. Kudumo, what does this mean for the balance of power in Madagascar right now?
See, when you say you are not in the country or somewhere else and you dissolve the institutions of the state, obviously you have lost it because you are not in charge. And especially what makes a head of state or any political leader strong is the security apparatus, the military, the army, and others. That's what makes you strong. So if they are refusing your orders, then obviously you have lost it. So dissolving parliament will not help. And I think the intention of dissolving parliament was when parliament was intended to impeach the president, to remove the president. And therefore, I think the president acted quickly to dissolve that parliament and to dissolve some organs of the state. But it will not help because the military have already joined forces with the others, and they are there to protect the state and so on. So I don't think that you lost it. When you are out of the country and the military are not supporting you, then you must know you are gone. You lost it.
Well, considering that Madagascar currently chairs SADC, how has this affected the regional bloc's ability to respond to the crisis? And I think there's also a very fine eye on them right now. And do you think that SADC's credibility is being tested with this matter? Yeah,
look, SADC, according to the SADC Treaty, want to evolve common political values. Democracy, good governance, accountabilities. These are the values that SADC want to evolve. Now, if one of the states is being tested for not adhering to these norms, then basically SADC is being tested. The concern that I have is the preventive diplomacy in SADC and the strengths of the institutions of SADC. Remember that we have the SADC summit in August or so. Are we saying we have not seen it coming, that there is likely something like that happening in Mauritius? Because if we have seen that coming, and in terms of preventive diplomacy, then we should have managed it before it reaches a type of a crisis.
When you speak of preventative measures that could have been taken, what would that have looked like?
Look, for example, SADC have called upon negotiations to not get involved in maybe conflicts. They need to sit and resolve the matters through diplomacy. But it's somehow too late, especially the audience that is involved, the youth. But preventive diplomacy just means that you predict that a danger, a situation is about to come. And therefore, before it reaches that stage that it is more emotional than rational engagements, you are supposed to engage diplomatically. So I'm saying that the organs of SADC, the various organs, especially the organ on politics, defense and security cooperation, should have anticipated that this is coming. SADC itself should anticipated that this is coming and then have some negotiations, some diplomacy around it. Because the problem is you are having a SADC now without a chairperson.
Yeah.
And therefore, you have to resolve to other governance mechanisms like the Troika and so on. So even if you are managing it, the reputation is somehow damaged because it's asking the question that I'm asking.
Yeah.
Was this not foreseen? Should we not have managed it better and so on? And it speaks to the strengths of the institutions of SADC, the resources, and the other things to act. Because I suspect that the organ on politics, defense, and security cooperation anticipated this, but maybe they do not have the means to intervene or to allow the politicians to intervene. So organization must be learning organizations. And they must be able to resolve matters before they escalate to crises.
Well, indeed, we're looking to see how all this will unfold in the next couple of days and weeks, Dr. Kudumo. But thank you so much for your time this evening and for joining us here on the Daily Roundup.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
We're going to take a very brief break. We'll be right back after this.